Hi, everyone. Welcome to the AI and Healthcare breakout room. We'll just give people 1 or 2 minutes to join and then we'll begin. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome once again to the AI and Healthcare breakout room. Just a primer on how this is going to work is that we're going to hear presentations from three organizations. They will go back to back, and then after all the presenters are presented, we will have a Q&A session. So without further ado, we will be beginning with Rhino Health. Rhino Health is a platform that supports data science research and AI development through edge compute and federated learning. Thus, insights can be generated and algorithms can be developed or validated on patient data that never leaves the protected firewall of hospitals or institutions. And presenting for Rhino Health is Mal Patel. Please take the stage. Thank you.
Hi, Tino. Thank you. I am going to share my screen. Can everyone see it? I'm going to assume yes. Silence means yes.
Yes, I can
Great.
see.
So thank you for the introduction, Tino. I think you put it quite well. We have developed a platform that promotes healthcare innovation while ensuring patient privacy. And the way that we do that is through privacy-preserving data collaboration. So I think to start it off the top, I think most people in this room probably see the very strong potential of AI and data science in healthcare. I think patient data has been generated in such volume around the world that it would be kind of a disservice to patients not to use it. One of our hypotheses at Rhino Health, though, is that it is very difficult to access and to utilize patient data such that AI algorithms are underperforming, especially in diverse populations. So that's why one of our missions is to improve data collaboration, data access, and data utilization. So what the Rhino Health platform does is it facilitates secure collaborations with data remaining at rest behind custodian, behind hospital firewalls at all times. So how does this work? So we have two facets of the architecture. It's kind of like a hub and spoke model. So you are the user here. You interact with the Rhino Health cloud via our API, via our SDK, via our graphical user interface. So you choose whatever method you want to interact with the cloud. And then this cloud is an orchestrator. And what it orchestrates is computation on the edge. So the edge is where the spokes in that hub and spoke model are installed. So this is installed at local hospitals or local research centers. And these clients are exposed to patient data. The patient data remains behind these dotted lines of the firewall. But because there is a client here, you can orchestrate computation there. What can you do there? Pretty much anything that you want to do. So data pre-processing, say that you want to transform a data into a common data model, to all the way to very advanced things such as AI model training, AI model deployment, continuous monitoring. This orchestrator then orchestrates the compute across this entire network to make sure that everything is coordinated and logical. So the advantages of this is this decentralized architecture, and that allows for centralized orchestration of decentralized computation. It's very scalable. Each of these clients can be installed in just a few minutes on a flexible arrangement of hardware. So let's say that you wanted to do very low-end compute, like let's just calculate certain demographics. You wouldn't need a very heavy or powerful machine on the edge. But if you wanted to do things like deep learning on imaging, then you would. So it's scalable, but it's also flexible. And this platform allows for end-to-end development. I'll get into that in a second. And then finally, industry-grade privacy and security. I think we've demonstrated that, I'll show you in a few minutes, we can install this client around the world. And because patient data remains locally, it is helpful for different geographic regulations. In addition, we have permissions, features, auditing features, other things that make it helpful and private and secure. So here's the end-to-end development piece that I was mentioning. So we have developed something like an ML or Ops workbench or an end-to-end AI development tool. Doing this type of thing on centralized data when you can see it, touch all of the data is very difficult. But doing this on distributed data is nearly impossible. So that's what we have sought to build in the Rhino Health platform. So we support with features all steps of the AI development value chain, from data preparation, such as discovery, ingestion, analysis, and harmonization, to modeling, so classical ML, deep learning, and then deep deployment, so deploying, validation, model tuning, and calibration. Other companies have served parts of this, but very few, if no other company, serves the entire value chain. What this helps unlock, if you're a connected healthcare institution, is a growing ecosystem of global healthcare innovation. So we're focusing a lot in the middle right here. If you are a researcher at a healthcare institution, it becomes very easy to collaborate with other researchers at other healthcare institutions. You can leverage their data, they can leverage your data for collaborations without any of that data ever moving, which eliminates the need for data sharing agreements and other hurdles that take years sometimes to get over. In addition to that, there are several different industry players that are also interested in patient data to improve their work, to improve patient care and patient innovation. And you, as a researcher in a healthcare institution, can also enable that type of collaboration. A couple examples are biopharma that's interested in post-marketing surveillance of their products, AI development companies that want to improve the generalizability of their AI, and then professional societies and nonprofits that want to implement their quality standards. Furthermore, innovators that adopt our platform can tap into data from the global and growing Rhino Health network. So as you can see, we have these spokes in that hub and spoke model truly scattered around the world and in multiple geographies that have different patient privacy regulations. And what this slide is meant to highlight is that, one, the network is vast. This is the largest federated network of any federated learning solution. And two, as I mentioned, we operate in multiple geographies, including some very restricted ones, such as GDPR, and Asia and Israel have very strict patient privacy laws. The Africa portion of this map, as you can see, is blank, and hopefully that can change, because I think there's a lot of really exciting work that we would love to help with. So what can we really do for collaborations? We can support use cases that I think folks on this call might be interested in. So number one, we can rapidly scale consortia to develop cutting edge innovation. As I mentioned, collaboration between different research parties becomes easy. So you can use that collaboration to build high performing AI algorithms using our platform. Number two, if you are developing innovation in your research and you want to disseminate it and deploy it around the world, we offer you the pipes, the plumbings, the IT infrastructure, and to do that, so that you can get rid of the boring stuff, such as how do we spin up a VM at that hospital around the world, and focus really on what's interesting, the science and the results. And then third, if you wanted to collaborate with industry while de-risking the collaboration because patient data is never shared, we offer a platform in which to do that, and several industry opportunities who are interested in industry-sponsored research. Great, so that is the end of my presentation. I will hand it over to the next group, and I look forward to questions at the end.
Thank you, Malhar, for that presentation. Questions will come at the end, as you correctly noted. So next, we have Vula. So Vula runs software that connects health workers to get patients to the right healthcare. Operational since 2014, there are over 30,000 health workers on the system, and it is used by health workers to connect over 50 different specialties to get advice and make referrals. And presenting for Hula is Dr. William Mafam. Apologies if I mispronounced that. Over to you.
Thanks. Yeah, great to be in this conversation. In order to give you kind of a sense of the data we have, I need to give you a bit of a history of where Vula came from. I'm from the Eastern Cape in South Africa. It's quite a rural province. I used to joke and say that the hospital was just to the right of the middle of nowhere. And this was the main road to the hospital. And then this was the road that we took to visit clinics. So pretty remote areas. The reason we built Vula was because this was a letter that I wrote myself in 2004. A patient had come with an eye condition. I didn't know what it was. I asked him to go to the nearest eye clinic, which was only 3 hours away. And I hoped they'd go there to get treatment. So this letter was as much information as he had at the time. 7 years later, I went back to volunteer in the same clinic, and he came with the same letter that I'd written all those years ago. Unfortunately, he'd gone blind in that eye because he had never been treated. And looking at it as a specialist, realized that we even had the medication he needed the first time I'd seen him. I just didn't know as a junior doctor. So we had to solve information problems. Imagine if I had just been able to contact a specialist, that would have made a difference. Very similar to many of the areas that you've seen, the distances between a clinic and an eye service or any specialist center is often up to 7 hours drive. But it was only when I was specializing that I realized the problem wasn't just in the rural areas. I was busy seeing patients, I was teaching students, more patients were waiting, and that phone in the corner just rang with people like me in the past trying to get hold of me, but it was impossible to answer the phone all the time. So we built Vula to solve the problem for both the rural healthcare workers and for the specialists. We promise to save them time. So no one is paid to use Vula. It's never been part of a pilot. If it doesn't solve their problem, then they don't have to use it. So it really has to be easy to use. And one of our promises is to give them meaningful data. And it's great to be in this conversation. So because it's a simple app that healthcare workers use to make their lives easier, we suddenly start collecting a whole lot of data. It's quantitative data from forms, images, across 50 different specialties. And then we also have the chat messages between the healthcare workers themselves. And we do our best to analyze data. We don't do any machine learning at the moment, and hopefully you'll find some partnerships after this talk. But we have been going for some time. You'll see it in the first couple of years. It really took us a long time to make it so easy to use that people just used it. And we've now actually just gone over 30,000 healthcare workers on the platform. The patients per year went over 300, and we had our 1,000th patient earlier this year in total. We love supporting research. So if you want to publish research, there have been 6 publications so far. If you go to our website, you can look at them. But hopefully we get some more research partners out of this conversation. And then just to give you an example of what meaningful data looks like in our setting, these were referrals to Free Hospital in East London, which is in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. You'll see the one there at the top is King Williamstown. That's where I was born. But when we looked at all the data, they showed that virtually all the referrals came from one hospital, and there were just 2 types of injury, hand injuries and foot injuries from farming incidents. So this now provided the healthcare workers with meaningful data to motivate to their managers for sending one doctor once a month rather than 30 ambulance trips per month. So yeah, I just wanted to give you a taste of the data. I know there's a lot more, but happy to answer any questions in the session.
Thank you, Dr. William, for that presentation. We will move on to the final organization, which will be Zuri Health. Zuri Health is a Pan-African health tech company providing universally accessible healthcare experience via a mobile app, a website, and an AI-powered chatbot, Vera, giving users access to pharmacy. doing uses at its pharmacy, labs, and diagnostics, telemedicine, and first-level medical consultations via SMS to take care of people without smartphones and those living in rural and underserved. So presenting for Zuri Health will be Daisy as IO. Over to you.
Thank you so much. My name is Daisy Siaho. I'm the co-founder CPO at Zuri Health. And I'm just happy to take you through what we've been able to build over the past 2 years since our launch. Our mission and goal at Zuri Health is to actually provide and democratize access to healthcare in Africa because of the problems and challenges that the healthcare system faces. We see that, less than 50% of people in the continent don't have access to basic affordable healthcare, and the most affected are people living in the rural and underserved communities. So when you look at the data, we have a very painful doctor to patient ratio of 1 to 5,000, and we see, in as much as we have a lot of digital solutions on the continent, they're not still solving the problem because 65% of the mobile phone users don't have access to smartphones or the internet. And also in terms, because healthcare is extremely expensive, we find that only 2% of the aggregate market have insurance. So that's the insurance penetration rate on the continent, which is very, very sad. So what we did at Zuri Health, we built two options. So on one hand, a virtual hospital, which comprises of a mobile application, a website, and a chatbot. So users are able to chat and consult with doctors, buy medication from a pharmacy, book labs and diagnostic tests, and even have a doctor visit them at home. But in order to deepen inclusion and also to provide access to the over 65% of the population without access to smartphones, we also have our SMS functionality that helps them to be able to chat and consult with doctors via SMS text, and the cost is extremely affordable. So from as low as 10 US cents, our users are able to chat with doctors and get their first level medical consultation targeted towards primary healthcare. So this is an overview of our solution. We have the 4 key channels: the SMS, the web, native apps, and Vera. Our goal is to actually provide access. So we want to meet our patients at the point of need. We have different services that we've been integrated, from pharmacy, telemedicine, doctor at home, labs and diagnostics, and even education and awareness and health advocacy. So we launched our AI-powered chatbot called Vera, and this is hosted on multiple communication channels like the WhatsApp chatbot, Telegram, Twitter, and our users are able to get all these services even without downloading the app. So this we've integrated with AI that provides quick response in real time to patients. It's also a multi-channel healthcare service bot, which is plugged on the different channels I've mentioned. And we've also have end-to-end encryption feature just to be able to guarantee secure messaging services via chatbot. And because we understand that in Africa we have multiple languages and we want to provide information and communication, the chatbot actually handles multiple questions simultaneously and is available in multiple languages from Kiswahili, English, and French. So this is just simply how SMS works. Users are able to subscribe onto the service, chat with a doctor, and get daily health tips on SMS text. And this we do in partnership with telcos. What we have seen in terms of the target market and our user base, we see that most of the patients who consult on the SMS platform, they're usually the younger and insured clients who live primarily in the rural areas. And for the app, web, and chatbot platforms, we see that these are usually the middle income clients seeking convenience and living primarily in urban cities like Nairobi, Lagos, and Cape Town. So what's our Zuri Health advantage? Just to be able to provide the solution, we've built an end-to-end patient journey that includes consultation, lab testing, pharmacy delivery, and aftercare management. And we've also been able to see a significant scale because we are the fastest growing healthcare company on the continent, and we are currently live in 9 African markets. We've also seen very high impact because we're able to take care of the people, over 65% of the population without access to smartphones and those who live in the rural communities. And we only do this, we're possible to do this because of our strong telco partnerships that gives us very significant distribution power, which makes us also adaptable to harsh regulatory frameworks, because we understand that, just operating a digital platform in Africa, sometimes you can operate in a market that is highly regulated or under-regulated. And of course, our multi-channel and multilingual solution just to foster communication. So quickly about the healthcare facts in Africa, what we've seen is we see that over 495 million people are subscribed to mobile services, and this represents 45% of the region's population. And what we have done is we're leveraging telcos to be able to provide enabling digital services just to create value recurrently and be able to provide health tech solutions on SMS. So some of the benefits that we get partnering with telcos, these are mobile operators, include, SMS and other digital communications. There's also the mobile money payment from M-Pesa, Airtel Money, and MomoPay. We also are able to easily identify our users, enabling us to know the regions where they're communicating from, their age and gender, and some of the healthcare challenges that they face. The telcos also provide us very secure data and storage. And just in terms of customer acquisition, we have different methods from header enrichment and also get marketing support riding on the trust equity that the telcos have built over time. So what is our current progress on impact? We've been able to provide access to over 1 million users since our launch in 2 years. 50% of these users are women and 75% of them are young people and youth, particularly on the SMS. We also have significant partnerships. Recently, we signed a group framework agreement with MTN that gives us access to 21 countries where we expect to launch and access to over 180 million users. And we've also created decent work and economic growth and secured employment job creations for difference. So this makes us, sustainable to the SDG goals. So these are some of our partner traction in terms of the chatbot interaction that we launched last year. We've had over 50,000 engagements, and currently we have over 600,000 active SMS subscribers. We've been able to be recognized with different organizations championing health, from Bridge for Billions, Develop Ventures, Build Grow Africa, Bear Foundation, and Investing Innovation I3 program. So I welcome any questions, and I'm available to answer any question in regarding to providing digital solutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. That brings us to the end of the presentation section. So we'll now go into Q&A. So you can raise your hand and I'll acknowledge you, and then you can ask your question. And when you ask, please also just mention which organization your question is addressed to. So I'll take any hands now. Feel free to also use the chat. All right, I have a hand from Brad Newsom. You can go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Brad Newsom. I lead our DSI Africa research programs here through the National Institutes of Health. Wonderful to join you all for this. It's been a really, really great session. One question that I have for you all, for actually everyone, is how do you have any specific ideas about how the various programs associated with DSI can help expand your reach? Now, of course, coming into to something like this this networking opportunity is really, really helpful. But are there specific ways that we may be able to help you to expand your reach, to expand into our research networks, to be able to learn from the data repositories that we're collecting, how to leverage what you're collecting more effectively, the expertise? Are there any specific ideas from you all about what would be beneficial to you all as we're trying consistently to make a network across the continent to really advance these new technologies and new data systems for health? Rob?
Brad, any of the organizations?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Brad, and good to see you again. There's one that came up in our last session, and I floated a little bit with Ahmed, but I'll say to you, Judith, is love to get some insights. If you have, folks that can help, we get a lot of requests for how do you, people want to make their data sets open, but they want to have some sense of sustainability in doing it. So, how to sort of have an open AI business model, put it that way, some insights into how to monetize AI an open way with licensing or different things. So if you have some reach or anybody on the call, we'd love to sort of engage in a dialogue on that. But I see that a need across the board of our companies that we work with that are collecting data is how do we monetize that in a way that makes it also open, but also some degree of sustainability. Thank you.
Yeah, this is difficult in one country, let alone many. And then trying to figure out data sharing agreements, trying to figure out what various countries will allow out of their data sets. And then from a monetization perspective, we're very motivated to do what it takes to make the work that we're doing sustainable through financial models. That's why we're so invested in having so many people at the table, including for-profit companies that are going to make this more sustainable long term. We don't have as many answers as we have questions right now. Now we've got people on the call that are taking notes to make sure that we're really capturing the needs that we're facing in this area, not only how we can help each other, but then how we can help as an institution of leveraging AI, leveraging data science, leveraging various innovation models across the continent and certainly beyond. But we have many more questions than answers right now. We're all struggling with it. But if there's anybody else on the call that has some better insight than me from the U.S. government's perspective of my limitations, that would be wonderful.
Hi, everyone. This is Ayo, PBR Life Sciences. I'm speaking from the UK. I think one of the areas that is quite important to us around sustainability in providing data to the community is perhaps, how do we connect with the private sector? Who, for example, use a lot of this data either for evidence planning or whatever. Basically, I'm talking about the big pharma and also some of the consumer healthcare companies out there. Could this platform also potentially facilitate those kind of engagements between also the one side in developing countries and some of the big pharma in established markets?
We can try. We certainly have the various members of our coordinating center on the call. We've got a lot of connections with various institutions around the world, both nonprofit and for-profit. We can certainly work toward prioritizing this. At times, we can facilitate, but because this is an NIH-funded program where it's really science and service to society, we do have some level of limitation on what we can do through the NIH-funded support. But what you can do beyond that, and the various members of our organization associated with DSI and how it's growing, we can certainly do more from your perspective than often we can from the NIH perspective because of the various laws that we have around mixing public funds and private benefits. So it is something that we definitely need to talk about. But again, there are many people on this call that have also additional connections that we may be able to leverage as well.
Mark, you have your hand up. Mark, you can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to comment on that. And I'm Mark from Rwanda, professor of medicine in Belgium here. This is, Brad, the question you asked is really crucial because I saw a huge gap between what we are doing and what is happening on field. The gap is already, if you look in these meetings, how many people from the government bodies are in. I have seen nobody from Rwanda, for instance, from Minister of Health. I have seen nobody from Uganda, Minister of Health. I have seen nobody from, and the Minister of Health needs to take what we are doing and use it in daily work to see that what we are doing, it has a value for the country. Because they have seen not this value, actually, if you go down there, you find that we are doing a kind of fragmented work. NIH is supporting this, Bill and Melinda Gates is supporting this, and FOGAT is supporting this. And at the end, we are working like in the islands. Even if we connect ourselves, we don't connect with the local governments, the local administration. So the country is not taking what we are doing. And when you go in the hospital, we are harmonizing the hospital data in Rwanda. But we found that at the hospital, there is a lack of capacity. There's a lack of skills. Not because it doesn't exist, because the country is not seeing the reason to empower those people they are down. The people who knows artificial intelligence, who knows those algorithms exist, but they are outside. So you see this gap, we need to link that. And the only way to link that, that's my last point I will talk about, the only way is already in a meeting like this to have someone from the government on the table, from Minister of Health or whatever. Yeah,
I couldn't agree with you more. We've worked really, really hard over time. Many of our organizations associated, for instance, with the DSI Africa, have very strong collaborations with their governments within their country or within their region. So we do prioritize this. This was a part of our thinking from the beginning about how important it is not only to build a sustainable structure from the standpoint of developing robust technologies, pulling in various partners that can help scale, but also from a policy perspective. So much of this is going on. Do we have a lot to learn? We're doing a lot of learning during DSI as well about this exact issue and how we can help facilitate those conversations more and more. We have various groups that are specifically focused on this. So I couldn't agree with you more about its importance. And Michelle Skelton is on the call as well. She's leading, our coordinating center and working so diligently to make sure that we're really addressing these very complex problems from their component parts, and policy is one of the most important ones. So the fact that they're not at the table at this conversation does not mean that they're not at the table in general. We are working very, very closely with them, and every time we're in country, we're meeting with ministries of health to push this forward as well. So again, this is a network that can help us to understand what are the needs and help connect people. So that's the whole reason that we're pushing these things forward. So we all know we can make connections between us, and we can understand the real needs that are going to drive sustainability and impact.
Thank you. You have your hand up.
Sure. Thank you so much for this. This is really great. As all of these issues have been considered, there are two things that come to mind, and I was just curious about what the thoughts are around these issues. First thing has to do with the ethics piece, because we know that even though we're trying to use data for good things, it's still the patient's data, and some of the regulatory requirements and compliance requirements that protects patients' privacy and confidentiality are not yet fully developed. And all of this could go boom if something is misused in the wrong way. So those guardrails and setting that up as we're moving forward is critically important. The second piece is with Africa being very spread out and with multiple ethnicities and groups, the issues of algorithmic bias is even more critical and important. So unlike other places where you have monolithic race groups, or you can put races down to 5 or 6, a full understanding of the cultural pieces, the anthropology, all of those issues are important. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of technology and companies that go in, create pipelines and all of these issues, and those things will be biased against certain populations within that. That's already a struggle even in data science right now. But is there anything again, guardrails, everybody paying attention to that as this is going forward. Thank you.
Well, you can go ahead.
Yeah, it's a brilliant question. So our approach has been to do it the hard way. We make sure that we've got all the approvals built into our app, as well as the system. We've actually published on compliance for healthcare and its data use. I'll share the link we're very open about what we do, but I'll share the link with you from our website of our approach. And for the equitable use of data, it's a very good question. So we've supported 2 institutions in South Africa to look at dermatology data. There was an international body that had dermatology data, but mostly from white skin, whereas virtually all of ours was from dark skin. So essentially their AI was very, very biased, and we're working with them to make sure that it's not. We did the same thing with burns. As you can imagine, burn wounds look very different on a white skin compared to a dark skin. But that does require a lot of hard work. So it took me a year of just pure compliance work. And then it took me 18 months to go through both the local Department of Health and 2 university ethics processes to make sure that we've done it properly. So it is hard work to get to do it, but it can be done. I'm happy to share with you, maybe if you want to call me offline. But yeah, happy to talk about that.
Thanks, Well. Adeola, your hand is up.
Thank you very much. I mean, I just want to add to what Dr. Banky Olatosi raised. I think one of the things we must appreciate the DSI Africa for. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
One of the things we must appreciate DSI Africa for is the fact that they are, set up different hubs. I mean, for example, I'm part of an LC hub, and some of the issues that you mentioned are what we are looking at. I mean, within the context of the country that we are operating, that people are implementing this kind of project, data science project. What are the existing laws? What are the existing regulations that are available in order to ensure that things like privacy, bias are well addressed? And if they are non-existent, what are the recommendations that we could make to the government? Because obviously they are new area, they are new fields, and new things are coming up day by day. But we are starting from somewhere. For example, my team is looking at governance of data science and research in Nigeria. Very Herculean task. But we are making much progress. We are seeing where the deficits are. We are seeing where the challenges are, and we are also getting perspective from stakeholders, government officials, researchers, data scientists, in order to ensure that we have an overview that cut across all everyone that is working within the system. Thank you very much. I'm happy to discuss more about this outside of here. I initially posted my email. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does any of the presenters want to take that? Or any other questions from anyone? Yes, Suduna, your hand is up.
Hi, can you hear me? Oh, sorry. Let me just
Yes.
fix that. Just give me a second. Just 1 second here. Oops. I'm having issues with my video. Just give me a second. Okay, that should work now. Great. I think you guys can see and hear me.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. So I'm Udana Nazolo. I am a imaging physicist at Montreal, so at McGill at the Montreal Neuro. And I also have been doing some work in terms of capacity building within biomedical imaging, so mostly focused on magnetic resonance imaging, so MRI, and again within the brain or imaging space. I think one of the speakers from Rwanda, the last two speakers from Rwanda mentioned two things. One was on governance and policy. Another key point they mentioned was capacity and the fact that the people on the ground that, and I think this was also mentioned in the last session about the sort of the lack of expertise in how to use AI to actually meet whatever relevant healthcare solutions. And so we've been working on that. I started a lab in Lagos, and that's why I wanted to show the background. So that's the lab. It's a medical artificial intelligence lab. It's located within a clinic. In Lagos, the clinic has access to an MRI scanner, a CT scanner lab, a blood lab, X-ray, ultrasound. I mean, it's a private practice. And the reason why behind us doing this in a private practice is that most of sub-Saharan Africa, that's at least what I've looked into, are predominantly private. Healthcare is within a private sector in most of the countries within Africa. And when it's not in private, it's a quasi, it's public-private partnerships. And so we have to also understand how to bring in the private sector in some of the conversations we're having, from policy to healthcare to implementation of AI. And so the lab is running well, I say a summer school. I don't want to call it the summer school, but it's a summer school. So we're running a summer school this year with 70 students from 15 African countries. We're using this a way to make sure that when we train them, that we're able to know that when they leave the summer school, that they're actually able to train others, because that's the only way you can actually ascertain competence. We're not trying to give certificates or degrees. So we're using a case-based model, like what they do in medicine. And we're trying to take them through a step-by-step approach to take one problem. In this case, we're looking at brain tumor, specifically glioma, and how to segment and characterize brain tumors using AI. And so what we've done is we essentially brought together people that are working on, typically will work on this within a clinical setting. So you have your neurosurgeon, your neuro-oncologist, your neuroradiologist or radiologist, your medical physicist, as well as your computational scientist. And we're trying to train them together to sort of create a model that will actually segment brain tumors. And we found that there are obviously challenges in skill sets. The clinicians are really eager to learn. We have about 20% of them are clinicians. They're willing to learn, but the biggest problem is trying to balance their clinical time and also being able to learn this. So we're trying to figure out ways to sort of use conceptual ways of being able to give them the basic skills they need in order to actually understand the language to then work with the computational scientists. And we understood that networking is key. So we've actually tried to train them within the region, but also network them and create a network that will help them even tap into the computational science. I think that's what the Rwandan speaker said. There is a large base of computational science people, but they're just not well connected with the healthcare setting. And that's something we're trying to do. So I'll put some links in the chat, and everybody's willing to contact me, and I could give you more details about that. I'll turn it back to the speaker. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We have less than a minute left. Angela, can feel free to go.
Yeah, I'm really interested in her in collaborating with her, because I'm in Ibadan. I've been looking for scientists in Nigeria working in data science in AI. So I'm really glad that to know that there's someone there within my reach in Lagos that we can work with. So Dr. Anadazo, or what's the name again? Yeah, I didn't get that. So be glad to contact you, please. Thank you. Anazodo, yes.
So that's
Yeah,
great.
thank you.
Well, thank you.
All right, the room will be closing now. Thank you, everyone. Bye.